Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry. I'm here with you today to bring you the latest, greatest news, and as you can see right off the bat, Eleonora finally in Dragalia life. That is what this video is starting off on, but of course that's not all we're going to talk about today. I did just want to show this because I've been waiting for this for so long, and it was a very good comic, so I hope that you check it out and enjoy it. Hopefully she'll show up in the manga adaptation of Dragalia Lost as well. But really though, we're here today to talk about some more gameplay related news, and that is the announcement of a big Lunar New Year event, Skyborne Spectacle, starting next week on January 31st, and the associated summon showcase that's going to go alongside that. So for this new event, it's going to be a raid. There's going to be pyro blossoms, meat buns, spring rolls, so it's really cool. I'm glad that they're actually making a direct reference to Lunar New Year, and we're going to get a character, Sufang, and we can see that the boss here is pretty grisly looking, honestly. It looks like a pretty gnarly boss, kind of similar build to Sabnok. It's upright. So it'll be interesting to see if this shares some of the moveset with Sabnok from the Resplendent Refrain raid last year. Now the speculation is that this is going to be a water element boss, because if you look at the adventurers here, outside of the main cast, everyone is a wind unit. So that's why everyone thinks this is going to be a water boss. As far as I've seen, there's no immediate confirmation right now about whether he'll inflict bog or freeze. So what I would suggest is saving up resources so that when the boss comes out, when the event comes out and it's revealed, you can either dump your mana and your wind orbs into your freeze res characters or your bog res characters accordingly. Now I will say that there is strong reason to believe it'll inflict bog, but we'll get into that when we talk about the showcase. And we're going to get a free dragon from this event, so it's presumably a water dragon, because it usually shares an element with the raid boss. And look at this dragon. I mean, this is a sick design. I feel like this could have been in the gacha pool easily, and that people would have wanted to summon for this. So I'm hoping this is either a strength or HP water dragon. Either of those would be really helpful right now, because as things stand, it's pretty hard to build up to take on Hybern Hilda, and especially a pure HP water dragon is something that's lacking, and probably because this will have free unit stats and be slightly worse. It is still going to be weaker than Poseidon, I'm guessing, but even so, just having access to it, not needing that max unbound 5-star gacha dragon, that would open up some doors for people. So I'm really looking forward to this. Reminds me a lot of Shenron from Dragon Ball Z, of course. I know a lot of people have made that comparison, but hopefully we'll get to play the raid together next week. I will be on and off the Discord throughout the event, and we'll see whether, like the previous New Year's raid, this one has special drops as well. I'm hoping if they go that route, there's a better way of balancing it, but we're gonna have to wait and see. Besides that, of course, as I mentioned, we got some detail on the new summon showcase, Springtime Spree. So we're going to take a look at this preview and go through the Adventurer, Dragon, and the 2 worm prints that are featured at 5-star. There's nothing here that says these are limited time adventurers or dragons or worm prints, so I am going to be assuming this is part of the normal summoning pool, but we're going to wait and get more information on that. And as of making this, there's also no information on the 4 stars or potentially 3 stars that are on the showcase that are right up. You can see that this starts on January 31st and ends on February 13th. So pretty conspicuous. You have to imagine that immediately after this, we're going to get a Valentine's Day showcase that'll last a couple weeks, and most likely will be a seasonal or time-limited one. So do keep that in mind. And after that showcase, we'd be toward the end of February, which is when we heard that the new content type or new game mode Void Battles are supposed to come out. So let's get into the adventurers right away, starting with Lin Yo. So you can see that she is a wind attack axe type, and she has a good deal of strength. She's one of the stronger adventurers in the game, certainly in the upper echelon. Not too bad on her HP either. And we hear that she is from Taiwu, so that might be a new continent that we're learning about. And overall, just her visual design, it looks really cute. I think that she's going to be a very popular character based off of that. We'll have to see what her personality is like. But she is a Kung Fu master, and that's kind of a theme on the showcase. So her first skill is Typhoon Fist. It deals wind damage to enemies directly ahead and inflicts sleep. Probably going to be quite powerful, and it's nice to see, because we see on wind enemies that they can inflict sleep, it's nice to finally see on a wind adventurer. Her second skill, Heaven's Breath, restores her HP and activates Heaven's Breath state for 10 seconds. During this state, her attack rate is increased by 20%, meaning she's going to be attacking faster, basically, which is nice because axes do attack slowly. And the first skill, Typhoon Fist, is going to be powered up. So we'll get into this later on the showcase preview, but I think one of the coolest things about her is this Typhoon Fist, and essentially stacking this and hitting a critical with it, and she probably, because of that, will be able to do like the most damage of any character in the game. I'll explain how that works out in a moment. But of course, wielding an axe, she has a defense co-ability. High percentage, she's only the second 5-star axe after Julieta, or Julieta, as I've been corrected. Her abilities are HP 70% equals critical rate of plus 10%. Axes have a higher than normal base critical rate. They have 4% instead of 2%. So this is kind of nice. This brings her up to 14 at base, with her HP being over 70%. Then she has Bog Res, and this is the main reason why I think that this boss will inflict Bog. Kind of makes sense that you would want to pull for this character if it helps you out with your raid. She has Skill Haste of 8% as her final ability. Could be good. Axes are not exactly the quickest when it comes to spamming their skills or their attacks, so I'm unsure of how valuable that will be. It really depends on the SP cutoffs on her moves, but generally speaking, her having that heightened critical rate, being able to inflict sleep, being able to increase her attack rate and heal herself, she is a really powerful character and probably at this point the strongest wind axe in the game. Now moving on from her, we get into the featured 5-star dragon, Long Long, and that's a name for dragon, kind of a cute name for dragon as I understand it in Chinese. But of course, he is a panda. So this is a non-dragon dragon, but I think it's one that hopefully we can be pretty happy with. I like the design. It's not a waifu, which I know some people were getting a little bit tired of having so many, and don't worry, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so you can imagine we're going to get something there. But it says he looks like a charming panda, but is actually a full-fledged dragon. Really cool to see that. And he has a son called Mao Mao, and is something of a worrywart as a father. So you have to wonder if the son will play a role in the story. Howling Burst deals wind damage to enemies in a line. Pretty straightforward. But this ability is new, and it's kind of a cross between the strength dragons that we see at 5-star like Zephyr, and a new thing with Shishimai, which was the first dragon that boosted critical damage for light adventurers. Now, in Long Long's case, when the user is attuned to wind and Long Long is maxed out, the user is going to get a 45% strength boost and then 55% added to the modifier applied to critical damage. So basically tailor-made for our new adventurer here, since she has that heightened critical rate, and axes are already about dealing big damage with their skills. If you hit a crit on that skill, it's going to be insane levels of damage. Definitely 5 digits of damage, and possibly at the upper end of that as well. So that seems like one of the best uses for this dragon. I don't know exactly how the math works out when compared to Zephyr, but I would have to imagine Zephyr is still going to be quite strong. So if you already have Zephyr, you probably don't need this dragon. And even if you have someone like Rock or High Midgard Stormer, if you've played a lot and have access to it, it's probably going to be fine for the raid. Now for the first featured worm print, Warrior Maiden, and I'm assuming this is Jeanne d'Arc here, in a very stoic pose. This is actually really cool art. It makes me think of something you would actually see in a TCG. She's interacting with some animals. Really beautiful picture. The abilities, however, are interesting to say the least. So this is the first time we actually get Slayer Strength on a higher quality Wyrmprint. I believe this isn't on any 4 stars, and this is the first time we've seen it on a 4 or 5 star, so it's only been on 3 stars. And it's at 4%, which is pretty nice. It means that if you use this 5 times per quest, you can stack extra 20% strength on whoever it's equipped to. But the thing is, this recovery potency of plus 10% doesn't exactly synergize extremely well with the second ability. So I do wonder who this is made for. I would imagine that if you have a character like Berserker, who I just did a spotlight on, who can heal themselves and is really tanky, is good at taking out a lot of foes, this would probably work well for them. If you put a healing skill on Xander through his weapon, for instance, or on a flame character like Naveed, you have Phoenix maybe, then you can both heal a little bit better and take advantage of their ability to wipe out lots of foes and power themselves up. So this does seem like a luxury Wyrmprint in that sense, as all Wyrmprints kind of are right now. Not really suited for high-end content like High Dragons because there's not enough minions in those maps to take out and actually use Slayer Strength. And of course, right now, with only one Wyrmprint equipable, you can't really afford to not use the featured Wyrmprint. So, pretty cool Wyrmprint, but I mostly like the artwork on it. I do like that it's something new, though. Now we have Kung Fu Masters, another gorgeous piece of artwork. And this one is definitely more strength-oriented than the last one, and it's going to provide axe critical rate of 12%. Now remember, all of this is when these are max unbound, so do keep that in mind, but that is pretty insane and really good with the new adventure on this showcase. The other ability is steel damage of plus 15%, also nice, and I think the name of the game here is to just put that on an axe unit and see a massive critical hit on their first skill or whatever skill it is they're using. So if you see she had 10 extra percent, she starts with 4 because she uses an axe. Assuming this is additive, that's already 14. And then this is another 12, putting her at 26. So over 1 in 4 chance. Now, when you have 26% chance and every critical hit is dealing 55% extra critical damage, that is pretty awesome. That is pretty powerful. So I think that's the goal with this, and it feels fitting of a character like a martial artist to have that one powerful blow where all the energy is concentrated. I love that thematically. Of course, this is still kind of a narrow Wyrmprint. If for some reason you are an axe specialist, you maxed out your axe dojos, you just love that weapon type and you're more that type of player that gravitates toward one weapon, by all means, go for this. It's going to be great. That critical rate is a lot, and it also counts on each enemy you hit. So if you're doing an axe force strike and you hit a lot of foes in a circle, you have a chance to proc a critical on each of those independently. So it's not all or nothing. So it is pretty beneficial. For someone like Johanna as well with her 2 attacking skills, this would be amazing. But I do think that for most players, it's probably not necessary. It's probably a little bit overkill. And as always, these are only the 5 stars. We don't know the 4 stars yet. And those are the things you'll be more likely to summon, so do keep that in mind. These are hard to target. I am personally planning on skipping this because my Wyrmite stash is still on the low end. You'll see that I spent 60 Diamantium. I spent 1 on a daily deal on the last day of the Gala showcase. And then I spent 1 more or 30 more for a daily deal on the first day of the new Circus showcase. And that's what I'm planning on doing. I am going to do 1 daily deal because the price is so low. So when the new showcase comes out, I'm going to do this 1 time. And the advantage to that is if there's any mistake with the showcase, you can get compensation, and plus it's really a very low cost. That dragon pack I bought for $10. If you use it all on daily deals, that's enough for like 32 summons. But I am saving those daily summons because I think I'm going to use them on the Valentine's showcase, honestly. My Wormite is still not going to be up to a high level, and that'll be kind of a fun way to get to participate in that nonetheless. But definitely let me know what your plans are, what you think of the showcase so far. I would suggest, of course, you wait to make any decisions until we see what the 4 stars are going to look like. But either way, I hope that you've enjoyed this preview. I hope that you enjoyed Eleonora's Dragalia Life comic. I know I did. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend and a great start to your week. Take care, and I'll see you next time.